Docride again from the AB Ranch in Montana. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to polish a box calf bag. We have actually already given it a good cleaning and conditioning inside and out. Some of you may have seen that video already. And here we are. I've actually already opened up the bag. I've pushed all of the sangles. These are the straps. I've pushed them through, brought them out to the rear. Everything is really ready to go. I've taken off my clochette and my lock, and everything is nicely conditioned. Nothing's like creaking or tight. You don't want to put polish over something that hasn't been properly conditioned, because you're not going to help the bag. It's not kind. Okay, we always like to be kind if we can, right? Make nice. Okay, so how do you polish a bag? Well, I say you could get yourself one of my kits. This is a box calf leather polishing kit. Let's see what's inside. Looks like lots of cool things. I have my brush, my luxury pen brush. I have a superior shine cloth. I got some gloves. I've got a spa mat, some more gloves, sunshine cloth, proper polish, directions, very important, spa buddy, applicators. All right, excited? Excited? I'm excited. Okay, here we go. So the first thing that we're going to do is sort of make some sense out of the rubble we've just deposited here. So I always say, start with your spa mat. Give yourself a nice field. That way you're not putting dirty things on your lovely counter or your table, or I don't know, maybe you're doing this in a hotel room and you want to make sure your bag looks its best before you go to that big meeting where you get the best promotion or you get that award or that Nobel Prize. Okay? Okay. The nice thing about doing these things is it's sort of a quiet time for you. I mean, some people do yoga. I polish bags. Not that I don't like yoga, just saying. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put out everything that I have that I need. Gloves. Put your gloves on because you don't want to ruin your manicure. As you know, some of the polishes are waxy, and then waxes on top of your manicure would not be a good thing. The other thing is, if you have fingernails, you don't want to scratch your bag inadvertently. So if you have these on, it kind of protects the bag from you and your best intentions. So I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on. And let's see, where are we next? All right. Proper polish. Okay. I want to open that up. Obviously, you'd be reading the directions. Okay, so I have my proper polish and I have an applicator. So I'm going to go ahead and dial my proper polish up. There it is. See, dialed it up, sort of like a, well, like you're dialing something up. Don't worry if you get a little bit of the polish, you know, cracks open or something. No worries. When you start rubbing on it, okay, you're going to get some on there. It'll basically melt, so even cracks will start to fill in. It's very soft. Okay. The key thing when you're working with a bag or you're working with putting polish on is don't overdo. You can always do more. It's hard to take stuff away when you've put on too much. I say this stuff all the time, but I just like to keep telling people that because I figure repetition, people like that. Okay, so where do we start? We always want to start with the bottom of the bag. We always want to start with the area that nobody sees so that you can feel comfortable and you can get familiar with how to handle working your bag, and I call it working your bag. I'm going to place my hand inside the bag to steady it, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and it's all about little circles. In this case, I'm going to make these nice little circles. And don't worry, you don't have to put a ton on. It doesn't have to look like it's gone white. You don't need a thick layer of wax. More isn't better. It's always better to do less, and if you want to make it even more shiny, you can always do another coat. So I'm just going to add a little bit like this. And this I'm going to use sort of medium pressure. Okay, so medium pressure is if you were going to shine an apple. Light pressure is if you were just kind of trying to massage a peach without bruising it. So this is medium pressure. This is like, oh, I'm going to buff an apple. You know, when you take an apple and you sort of buff it off to make it shiny, that would be medium pressure. if you're going to bruise an apple, back off. You're too heavy. Okay, you're not making applesauce. You're just trying to apply some polish. Okay, so there. I don't know if you can you see my little swirlies? See? Okay, so that's my little swirlies. I'm always going to go then to the sides of the bag. See? Now, you may or may not need any more polish. Take a look. If there's a little bit of polish there, that's fine. If it doesn't seem like enough, okay, you can go ahead and dial it up. Add a little more polish, just like that. There. Yeah, that actually made it a lot better. And it should it should swirl and slide. There. Of course, if you're in a cold room, it might not seem like it's sliding. Your room's too cold. You don't want to be in too cold a room. You don't want to like have this in the refrigerator and then try and work on it, because obviously it's not going to move smoothly. Maybe it's not obvious, I'm not sure. But anyway. So I'm going to the other side. This is really, I think, the most fun, because you have the most dramatic results. People are like, oh my gosh, your bag, it looks brand new. And you're like, that's right. And they say, where did you take it? You're like, oh, very special place. my spa. I sent it to spa. They're like, oh, that's fantastic. Again, I'm going to say the same thing. You know, sometimes people don't take care of their things, and it doesn't look necessarily so nice on them. You know, sometimes you can have a very vintage bag. Okay, I actually need to put some more polish on there. I think if you're very, very young, you know, maybe you're like 20 or 19, or maybe under 25 but really skinny, I think then you can sort of handle carrying an extremely distressed looking bag. And I know there's lots of ladies, you know, if you're bohemian and you're 40 and you have paint on yourself because you're sort of this bohemian artist painter type, you could probably get away with carrying a very vintage bag. Most of us, however, don't do well with carrying a vintage bag. And I would say that if you go up to the counter and you're trying to fumble for something in your purse, and while your purse is open, someone throws money in it, it's too vintage. Okay, you need to clear it up. You need to probably spa that bag, or like get rid of that bag or something. I'm just trying to help you because I'm Docride. I'm your friend, and you know it's not a good thing. So if your bag looks like that's the only belonging you have, and you have the rest of your stuff in a shopping cart outside, too old. Okay. I mean, it's amusing, but it's also very sad. We don't want to be sad. Okay, so actually putting a good spa on your bag, it makes you look a little bit more like sort of old money chic. You can carry a vintage bag if it looks well looked after, like it was donated to you, or you inherited it from, you know, one of your relatives who's a Kennedy or something. You know what I mean? Or your great auntie Mame, who decided to leave you this beautiful bag. Then it's chic, and you can probably get away with that at almost any age, as long as it looks like it's well looked after. So don't be frightened, oh, my bag has a scratch. That's not what's going to make you look dowdy. A scratch isn't going to make you look dowdy. But something that looks really tired and unlooked after, probably not a good look. So, but don't worry, you can just get a kit, and if you don't know what to do and you can't follow the directions that are here, don't worry, you can come here and just do what I do. Do like I do, okay? All right, now I added a little extra polish because I wanted it to be a little shinier. Okay, so I'm actually always going to do just this inside panel on a Kelly bag, just the inside of the flap, because it's nice when that looks nice too. And that is actually box calf. So we have just completed applying our thin layer of polish all over the bag. I wonder if I did this. I'm not sure if I did, so let me just go ahead and do that too. This is neutral polish. We do not like to use colored polish. I think I mentioned that, but we definitely don't want to use colored polish. We never want it coming off on our hands or on our clothing. Obviously unchic, not cool. So a nice neutral polish. The other nice thing about a neutral polish is that it can lend some waterproofing to your bag. And I hate to say waterproofing, I'll just say weather protection. don't want to aim to weather, you want to weather protect, you don't want to waterproof. Because if you make it so you can't get anything into your bag, that means you probably can't condition it either. So, okay, there we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our nice little brush, our polishing brush, okay, and we are going to put our hands on the inside of the bag to steady it, and always starting on the bottom. With polishing, you want to sort of choose a direction and stick with it. So you see how the brush is like this? You could go like this, but I like to go like this. That way I've got, in this whole streak, a whole bunch of the surface of the brush touching. So I'm actually getting a nice, see that? I hope this isn't making too much noise. So I'm just going to sort of, I pull the bag up to myself so I can, and what I'm doing here, I don't know if you can see, I'm flicking a little bit. What I'm doing, and I'm making sure that I sort of get into those creases a little bit because I don't want any wax in there. See that? See, it's already, it's taken the dullness off. So when you've put on polish, it looks dull. And what I'm doing here is now I'm not trying to put on a huge amount of shine at this point. I'm just trying to get any excess polish off. Now, I can get quite a good shine, but mostly I'm trying to do is get excess polish off so I get this nice thin sheet of polish. So this is good to do that. Then we go to the sides. We always work with the sides that you don't see first, where you get all your confidence going. It's not to say you can't do this, you can, but you know, you're working then against these edges. And I always think it's probably nicer to be able to go down along an edge rather than across an edge. You go down along an edge. If there's excess polish up in that side, you're getting it gone, and it's very professional. I mean, you want to look professional, right? Not like you're going to quit your day job to become a handbag polisher. That's not what it's about. It's just that whatever you have that's nice, you want it to look as best you can, just like yourself. Okay, so you can see it's dull. Okay, and you can see like, oh, there's some white. Well, don't panic, that's just wax. The wax of the polish. See, it's coming away now. And if I'm not holding this right, I mean, you can say, Doc, you know, you're not holding this right, I can't follow you. And I'll do another video and show you a little different angle. Okay? But normally I would have it right next to my body like this, and I'd be sitting in the workshop. If this is really bothering you, you can always take it, clip it like that right into the side. I guess I'll show you all the tricks. Then you won't have to use my services at all. I don't know if that's a good idea. All right, I'll show you a few more tricks. It's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go to this panel. Just because I am right-handed, and I like to always work on the longest direction when I'm doing these things with the long side. So long and long. That's just the way I like to work. I'm sure there's other people that do it this way. This is what I do. You can always develop your own style later. I think it's good to start first with learning one way, and then if you want to go rogue, you go ahead, right? If you want to be a rogue polisher, you may find some other way that works better, but that's great. So I'm going to go a little bit slower in here and a little bit more flicky because I'm going around areas where leather is joining and I don't want to inadvertently bang or scratch. I'm trying to get around all these seams. Seams will often keep the polish in there, and you just want to get that sorted. See, now you're glad you have your gloves on, because you can imagine if your fingernails are scraping along here, you'd kind of undo all the nice work you did. The nice thing about polish is also this, that any of the small scratches that you may have had tend to blend in just because they got some polish. And you sort of, when you've got polish moving, sometimes the pigments kind of lift a little bit out and kind of move around in your bag. And you're like, wow, it's magic. It's magic. It looks fantastic. That was because there was some wax there, or a little polish. Yeah, if it sounds like somebody's got, you know, wooden shoes on or clogs and banging around, it's probably because you're hitting stuff. Just slow down, take your time, don't get in a panic, okay? Because this is not your big polish. All you're doing is getting excess polish off. This is not your big final buff, okay? How you doing? Are you doing this with me? You feeling good about this? I hope so, okay. And just here, just removing excess. Right there. There we go. And the final part, I would actually place this down on my lap, and I would always drop this between my knees so that it wasn't putting any pressure on there. So I'm just going to do this at the edge of the table here. You could do it at the edge of the table. So your hand will be, I guess you can't see this, but what I'm doing is I'm letting the handle drop down below the table so that when I straighten this flap out, it's not having any pressure on it. There, okay. And then our clochette, or whatever empty or side pieces that you have, just get the excess off. That's nice. Okay.